Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The sun set behind the serene lake as laughter echoed from our rented cabin's porch. It was our 5th wedding anniversary, and in a twist of unconventional celebration, Sarah and I had decided to revive our last night of singlehood. She would have her bachelorette party, and I, a bachelor's outing. With my best friends surrounding me, rods in hand and beers cracked open, the cool breeze carried our jovial banter across the still waters. This was freedom, simple and pure. Dude, can you believe it's been 5 years already? Mark slung an arm around my shoulder, handing me another cold one. Sarah's a gem, man. You hit the jackpot. I nodded, casting my line back into the lake. Yeah, she's one of a kind. The ease of the moment, the simplicity of the setting, it all seemed perfect. Back in the city, Sarah had planned an evening with her friends at a trendy bar, promising a night of reminiscence and wild stories, just like old times. Her laughter over the phone earlier had been infectious, her excitement palpable. "It's just a silly night out, Jake," she had giggled when I teased her about keeping the night tame. As night cloaked the sky, my phone buzzed. A picture message from Pete, a buddy who happened to be at the same bar as Sarah. The image froze me, a grainy shot of Sarah, laughing, dangerously close to a man, his shirt off, muscles glistening under the bar's neon lights. The caption read, "Isn't this a bit much for a bachelorette redux?" The joviality of my surroundings dimmed. "What the hell is this?" I muttered, standing up, the phone still clutched in my trembling hand. "Dude, what's wrong?" Mark peered over, concern replacing his smile. "It's Sarah, she." I couldn't finish. The image had seared itself into my mind, a stark contrast to the serene scene around me. I dialed her number, it went straight to voicemail. The night spiraled. My attempts to reach Sarah failed, each ring a harsh echo of betrayal. My friends, sensing the shift, rallied around me, their support a cold comfort against the brewing storm of my emotions. By the time the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of betrayal, reds, oranges, purples, I had made a decision. This wasn't just a spontaneous fling caught on camera. It was a revelation, a glimpse into a hidden facet of Sarah I couldn't ignore. As I packed up my fishing gear, my mind raced through memories, questioning the authenticity of our years together. Was this the first time? The doubts plagued me, a relentless wave eroding the sands of trust. On the drive back, my resolve hardened. This anniversary had unveiled a truth I could not unsee. Retribution formed clear and sharp in my mind, like the hooks we had baited the night before, unseen in the dark waters, waiting to catch the unsuspecting. As I walked into our silent home, the door closing with a soft click behind me, I knew one thing for sure: Sarah's night of fun had changed everything. There was no going back. The gears of revenge began to turn, each thought leading down a darker path. This was no longer about heartbreak, it was about retribution. And as the new day dawned, so too did the first steps of my plan to dismantle the life we had built together. The scent of coffee failed to mask the bitter tang of betrayal as I sat at the kitchen table, my mind a whirlwind of plans and suspicions. It was only mid-morning when Sarah walked in, her steps hesitant as she noticed the grim set of my jaw. "Jake, baby, you're home early. How was the trip?" Her voice was light, too light. She was playing the part, but the image from last night was a gash across the canvas of her feigned innocence. "It was enlightening," I said, the word heavy with unspoken accusation. I watched her closely, searching for any flicker of guilt as she poured herself a cup of coffee. "Really? That sounds..." "Cut the crap, Sarah. What the hell was last night?" I interrupted, my voice sharper than I intended, my hand slamming down the photo on the table between us. She flinched, her eyes darting to the picture then back to mine, a flush creeping up her neck. "It was just a game, Jake. We were playing a dare game. It meant nothing. A naked man, Sarah. In a bar. How far did the game go? I stood up, my chair scraping back loudly. She set her cup down with a clatter, her facade cracking. It was stupid, I know. But it was harmless fun, I swear. You have to believe me. Do I? I scoffed, pacing now. Because from what I saw, it seemed like you were enjoying yourself a little too much for it to be just harmless fun. Her hands shook slightly as she clasped them in front of her. Jake, please, let's not do this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Mistake, I echoed hollowly. Right. I pulled out my phone and dialed Pete. He picked up on the second ring. Jake? What's up? I need everything you saw last night. Every detail, Pete, I demanded, my gaze locked on Sarah's increasingly worried face. You sure, man? It's pretty messy, Pete's voice was cautious, but I pressed on. Tell me. As Pete recounted Sarah's interactions at the bar, her laughter, the casual touches, the dancing, a plan began to form. Betrayal beget betrayal. If Sarah could shatter our vows so casually, I could break the pretense of our perfect life just as easily. I want proof, Pete. Anything you can get me, I concluded, the wheels in my mind turning fast. After hanging up, I faced Sarah, whose tears had started to spill over. This isn't over, I stated coldly. I'm going out. Don't wait up. As I grabbed my keys and headed to the door, her pleading voice followed me. Jake, please, we can fix this. But the door slammed shut behind me, sealing my resolve. The first step was to gather evidence, the indisputable kind that would not just burn bridges but obliterate them. From there, the path was clear: expose her betrayal, secure a favorable divorce, and ensure her reputation bore the scarlet letter of her infidelity. The drive to Pete's was a blur, my thoughts fixed on the upcoming confrontation, the necessary unraveling of the life we had woven together. This was more than just a personal vendetta now, it was a mission, a purge of the deceit that had infected our marriage. And as I parked the car and stepped out into the crisp air, I felt the first real breath of freedom since that damning photo. The hunt for truth, and retribution, was on. The digital glow of Pete's living room was dim, cast only by the blue light of his dual computer screens. He was already pulling up security footage from the bar by the time I stepped through his door. Jake, you sure you want to go down this path? Pete asked, his fingers pausing over the keyboard. His question was loaded, a friend's concern veiled under the weight of impending revelations. Show me everything, I replied, my voice steady, the determination to see this through overriding any lingering doubt. As the grainy footage began to play, the images on the screen were like jabs to my gut. There was Sarah, unmistakably close and personal with the same shirtless man from the photo. They laughed, danced, and at one point, her hand lingered on his arm longer than necessary. There's more, Pete said grimly. He switched the feed to a camera positioned outside, capturing Sarah and the man stepping out into the alley beside the bar. My heart hammered as I watched them share a cigarette, their heads bowing together in laughter. That's enough for now, I said, cutting off the feed. The cold fury settling in my chest was sharp, a clear signal of the path laid out before me. Can you get me copies of all this? Yeah, but what are you planning to do? Pete asked, concern creasing his brow as he downloaded the files. First, I need to talk to a lawyer, I responded, my thoughts already shifting to legal retribution. Exiting Pete's house with a USB drive heavy in my pocket, I drove straight to the office of a recommended divorce attorney, the city lights streaking past like the fading remnants of my broken trust. The attorney, Miss Hammond, was a sharp-eyed woman with a reputation for being formidable in court. Her office was stark, professional, and immediately set the tone for the conversation. Mr. Larson, "What brings you in today?" she inquired, her pen poised over a notepad. "My wife cheated on me," I stated bluntly, sliding the USB across her desk. "I have proof. I want a divorce, and I want to make sure she gets nothing." Ms. Hammond reviewed the footage, her expression unreadable. After a long moment, she looked up. "I can file for divorce on the grounds of infidelity. However, proving financial misconduct might strengthen your case, especially if you want a favorable settlement." "Financial misconduct?" I echoed, intrigued by this new angle. "Yes, if we can prove she used marital funds for her escapades, it would significantly impact the outcome," she explained. That night, I went home and began digging through our bank statements, credit card bills, and receipts. Hours ticked by as I compiled every questionable transaction, every unexplained expense that could be linked to Sarah's betrayal. The clock neared midnight when I stumbled upon a series of charges at a boutique hotel downtown, the same dates Sarah claimed she was visiting her sister. Armed with this information, the next morning felt like a turning point. With Ms. Hammond's strategy in mind and a dossier of financial irregularities, the contours of my plan sharpened into focus. This wasn't just about exposing a betrayal, it was about reclaiming my life and ensuring Sarah faced the full consequences of her actions. As the sun rose, casting a new light on the disarray of our shared home, I felt a grim satisfaction. The stage was set, the players aligned, and soon, the curtain would rise on the final act of our marriage, a meticulously crafted denouement fueled by betrayal and the cold, hard truth. The courtroom was silent except for the soft shuffle of papers and the occasional muted cough. Today was the culmination of months of preparation, the day when all would be laid bare. As I sat across from Sarah, her gaze deliberately avoided mine, a stark contrast to the connection we once shared. Ms. Hammond stood, her presence commanding as she addressed the judge. "Your Honor, we are here not just to dissolve a marriage but to expose the grievous misuse of marital assets and the deceit that has shattered more than just marital trust." Sarah's lawyer, a young man with an earnest face, rose to challenge, his voice steady. "Your Honor, Mrs. Larson regrets her actions and seeks a fair resolution. We contend any financial discrepancies were misunderstandings." The back and forth continued until the moment I had been waiting for. "Your Honor, I'd like to present evidence of the defendant's financial misconduct." Ms. Hammond was unflinching as she handed over documents and played security footage. The evidence was damning. Hotel bills, luxury purchases, all dated during the times Sarah claimed innocence. The room tightened with tension as Sarah's facade crumbled under the weight of proof. But the true spectacle was yet to unfold. "Your Honor, one last piece of evidence," Ms. Hammond said. From her briefcase, she produced a set of photographs, not of Sarah, but of her lawyer, the same man from the bar, the same one from the photos Pete had taken. The courtroom erupted in murmurs as the connection dawned on everyone. Sarah's eyes widened in shock, her betrayal twofold, her infidelity and her deception now intertwined. Mrs. Larson's counsel is not just her lawyer but also the other party in her infidelity. This conflict of interest and the deliberate deception are what we expose today, Ms. Hammond declared, her voice resonant, her accusation irrefutable. The judge called for order, his eyes stern as he assessed the scene before him. "This is highly irregular. We will take a recess to investigate these claims." During the recess, Sarah's lawyer approached me, his face pale. "Look, I didn't know she'd go this far," he stammered, desperation lacing his voice. I met his plea with a cold smile. "You played the game, now you pay the price." When the session resumed, the judge was grim. "Given the evidence and the conflicts presented, I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff. The marriage is dissolved with immediate effect, and the financial settlements will reflect the deception practiced by the defendant." Sarah was ordered to pay a significant amount in damages and received none of the marital assets. Her lawyer was reported to the Bar Association. As we left the courtroom, Sarah's eyes finally met mine. There was no sorrow there, no love, only the burning remnants of betrayal. Jake, Save it, I cut her off. The gavel had been my final goodbye. Outside, the sky was overcast, mirroring the storm that had raged in my heart. I walked away from the courthouse alone, the weight of the ring in my pocket a reminder of what had been. It was over, the deceit exposed, the battle won at a cost too dear. But as I moved into the anonymity of the city crowd, a new realization dawned on me. My revenge had been meticulous, insidious, a calculated strike that left no room for remorse. In my pursuit of justice, I had become something unrecognizable to the man who once vowed to cherish and protect. The ultimate deception wasn't just Sarah's, it was the transformation within myself, the part of me that reveled in her downfall. As I discarded the ring into the city's unforgiving river, I knew this was my final act of letting go, not just of Sarah, but of the man I had become. In the end, the victory was Pyrrhic, the triumph tainted, and the path forward littered with the fallout of a revenge too ruthless to forgive.